John Fanta, who also has been announcing some of these games and was doing one of those with the TBT tournament over the weekend as well. Johnny, good morning. How you been, buddy?
Craig, I'm doing great. Hope you had a nice weekend. Our weekend was less panicky and less concerning than what the United States had on Saturday evening with South Sudan.
Yeah, I was watching the game with my kids, and look, I'm the biggest pro-American guy in the world. I even brought up golf today because we swept the majors. But I'm not going to lie to you. I was rooting for the South Sudan. You know, I was late in that game. After America comes all the way back, you know, they take the lead. They take a 5-point lead, 7-point lead. Sudan comes back. And then, of course, have that late possession with a chance to win it after the LeBron layup. I thought that was an embarrassment of epic proportions, and this is why we need new leadership for Team USA. Steve Kerr's a waste of time. Mike Krzyzewski's a waste of space, and the fact that this game was even close. Remember, the South Sudan, John Fanta, has only been a country for 13 years, yes, and they don't have a single indoor basketball court in the entire country, and they damn near beat Team USA, who should be thoroughly embarrassed with their performance in that game.
Yeah, somebody should hire Royal Ivey, the head coach of South Sudan, because his team came ready to play. Look, it was a wake-up call in the biggest way to the United States. And South Sudan is the lowest-ranked team in the Olympics. Look, exhibition game or not, here's the facts. The United States gave up 100 points in a 40-minute game. This is not a regular NBA game. In FIBA, they're playing 40 minutes. Defensively, this team, it sums up where they're at right now, and that is they are disconnected. They are disconnected. They have 7 players at the age of 30 or older. If LeBron James doesn't bail them out on Saturday, they are staring at the wrong side of history. I give credit to LeBron because he did step up when the game was on the line. It shouldn't have gotten to that point. But what this team's dealing with right now is what we talked about earlier in these pre-Olympic games. I don't think that they have a connection. And when you listen to some of the comments from other players on the team, I think that it's cause for, okay, what's going on here? The other thing that you have to consider here is LeBron did step up and deliver for this team is, you know, when they got back in the game early in the third quarter, it's because Steve Kerr started the second unit. Derek White, Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, Bam Adebayo, and Anthony Davis. When he put the first unit back in, they fell behind by double digits. Now, eventually, their depth was enough for them to find a way in this game. But I just think that Kerr is still trying to figure so much out. And look, it's no longer early. It's no longer early. And this team, I thought the wake-up call should have come back in Tokyo 2020, which was really 2021, when they lost their opening game to France. That was sign alone. That was sign alone that, hey, the rest of the world has caught up with you. You can't just show up, and you're the United States. Yeah. You should have never been in that situation on Saturday.
Well, they never should have been in it, but look, it's partially, I don't even put it on coaching. Steve Kerr's never coached a game in his life. He sits on the bench in Golden State, and that's all he's ever done because he has great players, and one of the greatest players of all time is his floor general in Steph Curry. So you roll the ball out there, you figure the South Sudanese have some guys that, you know, would love one day to be able to play even G League basketball and earn a living playing in the NBA, and they were not in awe of our guys at all. They weren't scared. They weren't nervous. And the longer this thing became a game, you know, the better those guys played. And look, I know that we were down 14. I know we made the comeback. We dominated. We took over in the second half. But we should be embarrassed by a performance like that, which brings me to what Joel Embiid said, John. I think the guys could put it up there for you. But Joel Embiid, you know, who came out and said, basically that we suck, all right? And LeBron James is too old, and there's a good chance we don't win the gold. Like, what are we talking about here? It's like nobody should come within 20 points of us in the Olympics or at any international stage. And yet, we all know what's going to happen. There's going to be a game like we saw Saturday, and we're going to embarrass ourselves, aren't we?
Well, I think that this is a team that when you look at, this is like walking into a great steakhouse, Craig.
Go ahead, I like where you're going.
That you've gone to for 30 some odd years, right? and you're like, I love this place. I love it. It's great. Then you sit down and you're like, they still have that same shrimp cocktail that I loved 30 years ago. Then they bring it out and you're like, wait a minute. I could have done this from a grocery store in my own kitchen counter on a Saturday night. Right. This isn't the shrimp cocktail I remember.
It's not.
Did ownership change? No. Just some of the ownership's over the hill.
There's also a chance you may have eaten that shrimp cocktail before I sat down, just to be clear about it. And I get to the table and all I got is some tails. I'm just going to put that out there, John.
No, to be clear about it, I'll take a step further. You're not getting any of my shrimp cocktail. You're gonna have to go. You're gonna have to go over to David's house. David's house for that. But
yeah.
What Joel Embiid said, okay, about LeBron James. Joel Embiid, right now you have no room to talk.
Right.
You yourself are having issues right now with your knees. You look worn down. You've struggled overall, was a little bit better on Saturday, but like his comments are another indicator of why I don't fully trust the Philadelphia 76ers, big picture thought there, and why I struggle to think he's ever going to win a championship. I don't see it happening. Why are you calling out a player on your team?
Well, not just that, he looks broken down himself for sure.
Yes.
But I want to point out one other thing to you before we let you go, John. And it's a problem that I've had throughout his career. As great a ball player as LeBron is, you even heard Dwayne Wade this weekend talk about how that when they got together for the big three, quote unquote, down in Miami, that nobody wanted LeBron to be down there because he's a pain in the ass to play basketball with, which is really interesting that Wade would suddenly talk about him considering they won championships together. But in an effort to try to bring some unity to the team and some camaraderie, LeBron James orchestrated a practice the other day, and I've got video to back this up, a free throw shooting contest. But the goal was you're going to shoot the free throws with your non-dominant hand. So if you're a righty, you shoot lefty. If you're a lefty, you shoot righty. Well, that's LeBron James. So these are the other guys, in the competition. Guess who won the competition, John?
LeBron
James. Except there's only one problem. LeBron James shot his free throws righty, the way he shoots every shot he's ever shot in the NBA. And he said to the other guys, well, I was born a lefty. Like, what are you talking about? And that's why nobody wants to be on the same team as LeBron James.
Hey, without LeBron James, though, and a cape late in the game on Saturday, I know you're going to disagree with me on this.
Yeah.
But just think, if it was 101-100 South Sudan and they win the game, we are taking this to a whole.
Well, hold on. I got to stop you there. Look, I know LeBron made the layup, and that's great. It's essentially an uncontested layup. There are four other guys on the court who have each made $300+ million as NBA superstars. If LeBron James gave the ball up to any one of them, you don't think any one of those other guys can beat his man off the dribble to score a layup to win the game?
They all can, but without LeBron James on Saturday, the United States doesn't come close. They lose the game by 6 to 8 points on Saturday. They do. Now, look, if you want to argue, here's the thing. If your argument is that they have chemistry issues overall, they do.
Yeah.
They do. And just think about this for a moment, Craig. We haven't even seen Kevin Durant, who we could see this afternoon on Fox when the United States takes on Germany. It looks like he's very close to appearing in a game for this team. But how does that affect the dynamic?
Sure.
How does a guy who sat out with an injury, who sat out here while all these other guys have had to play, right, and have had to go out there, their exhibition games, let's face it, it's hard to get fully motivated for these games ahead of the Olympics. How are these guys going to receive KD? How's that going to impact the chemistry of this team?
Again,
what's that going to look like?
I've always thought you had enough great players, they'll figure it out, but I was wrong about that because the South Sudanese, again, they do not have an indoor basketball court in the country, and they gave the Americans all they wanted. I know John's going to join us later in the show. Johnny was doing that TBT tournament. If I'm not mistaken, I got a close-up look at the other James kid, Bryce James. So Maybe kind of like the Ball family. One of the kids will be able to play, and one of the kids just will never be able to play. LiAngelo Ball being the kid that can't play, and LaMelo being the kid that can play. But we'll find out. We'll find out from John later in the show if Bryce James can play.
I'm going to go find some shrimp. I'm going to go find some shrimp. See you guys.
Check your garbage can. Hey there. Thank you so much for watching The Carton Show. You can subscribe right here to get all the latest bits and segments from the show. And by the way, while you're at it, we have a lot of great shows on FS1, so check them out too.